Treatment to get rid of the invasive quagga mussels from the Snake River is done. Crews finished the 10-day treatment on Friday, and our Hector Mendoza is here to explain what those results were. Hector?
Well, Morgan, I spoke to the Idaho State Department of Agriculture, and they say the amount of fish that have died because of the copper-based treatment is what they had expected. The ISDA was not able to give me an exact amount, but said that the fish that were affected were common carp, northern pike yellow perch, along with sturgeon. Treatment to kill the invasive quagga mussel was officially completed on October 13th, and now the Idaho State Department of Agriculture and Idaho Fish and Game are looking at how effective the treatment was.
We do have crews there this week that are just starting on their post-treatment surveys for mussels and veligers, as well as continuing with the water sampling to identify where our copper levels are in the river as we finish treatment.
Lloyd Knight, the deputy director for the ISDA, says based on observations done last week during the treatment, it shows that it is going according to plan.
Certainly it's had a short-term impact on plant life and algae. We expected that in the river. We expect it will bounce back. Certainly aquatic life has been impacted. It didn't kill every fish in the river, but certainly it did have mortality.
Knight says having to do the treatment was a tough decision, but the alternative was worse.
Spending millions of dollars a year to pre-treat just to avoid impacts from known infested waters. And it adds to the cost of hydropower generation, irrigation, all those things. So for us, those are the impacts we're trying to avoid.
But the big question is, did this treatment work on the mussels?
These initial surveys that we do in the next week or two will give us an initial indication, but it's kind of a long wait game at this point, not a quick answer.
Knight says it could take a few years to get an answer. A portion of the Snake River from Kent Curtis Bridge at Highway 46 to Auger Falls will open later this week with certain restrictions like implementing decontamination stations. But it will take a few years for the entire stretch of the Snake River to completely reopen.
At some point after that, when we get through all of our surveys in the next few years, then eventually we'll look to a full opening of that area without restrictions.
The Department of Ag says the portion of the Snake River from Auger Falls to Ken Curtis Bridge on Highway 46 will open up for hunting and fishing, but just a reminder, the agency expects to implement decontamination stations when they eventually open up more of the water to recreation. Morgan?
Hector, you said a few years for that entire stretch to open that's been closed?
Yeah, so they said that they got to do a lot of surveys before they actually feel more comfortable. So they said next year, once the full season goes along, they said they would feel a lot more comfortable, but they said it could take a few years for it to completely open up with no restrictions and just kind of allowing the people to get back on there.
Jeez, that'll have impacts. All right, Hector, thank you.